Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about our Career Centre at London Business School. The presentation itself will probably take around 30 to 40 minutes, and feel free throughout the presentation to start submitting questions, so at the end we can help answer those from a career perspective as well as admissions. But yes, I'd first like to introduce the team. My name is Alex Mesterton-Gibbons, and I'm the Recruitment Manager for the Early Career Programs at LBS. So I will be on hand at the end to answer any of your admission questions about any of the 3 programs.
Hello, thanks Alex. Hi everyone, my name is Kira Hughes and I'm currently the Career Lead for the MiM and the GMiM programs. So just a little introduction to myself. So I joined LBS recently, having previously led the early careers programs at a school with about 10 different master's programs and 1,000 students. So really enjoying my time here at the moment at LBS. Prior to moving into careers, I worked in a variety of HR and recruitment roles across a number of different industries. And that's what I really enjoy about my job in terms of using my recruiter mindset when supporting students in making these early career decisions.
Great, thank you very much, Kira, and good afternoon if you're based in Europe, or good morning or good evening according to where you are. My name is Enrico Cocchi. I'm one of the career coaches in the Career Centre at London Business School. I also lead on the Master in Financial Analysis in terms of careers provision. My background is in higher education and organisation development and investment banking. So I joined the school 1.5 years ago to lead on the MFA, which is one of our newest programs. And before that, I used to specialise on psychometric assessments, especially how psychometric assessments are used in terms of selection and development, in particular in investment banking. What I love the most about my job is really being able to make a positive impact on the careers and life of our early career students. So in terms of the presentation, now we're just going to be telling you a little bit more about the Career Centre. So it's really just giving you an overview in terms of our services, both in terms of how we work with you in terms of coaching, training, workshops, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about how we work with employers. And finally, we're going to be looking at some of the stats in terms of where our students work once they graduate. So in terms of what we're looking for in terms of students, is really one of the realization is thinking about your career journey. So it's thinking about where you are now and where you might want to be in the future. So usually when you join us, you might think that your plan is going to look like the first arrow that you can see at the top of the slide. So you might be thinking, now I'm studying, I might be studying economics or history or art. I'm just going to go to London Business School, complete a Master in Financial Analysis or Master in Management or a Global Master in Management, and I might end up in investment banking or consulting or tech. But actually what we see more and more with our students is that the reality might be looking completely different. And that might be down to a variety of different factors, including the fact that your interests might actually change. Because once you're on campus, you might be exposed to other students. So you might have a new entrepreneurial idea. You might also be studying different subjects that you never studied before. And also you might be meeting other students, might be MBA, Master in Finance, and different employers. So often we see that, and actually we do ask you, so before you're going to join us, we're going to ask you for your aspirations. And often we find that that might be looking quite different with respect to where you might end up after your course. So that's just something to keep in mind. So definitely if you've got career objectives, that's great, but do keep an open mind because those career objectives might change throughout the course of the year. So that's something that is quite important and really ties in with what we're looking for. So these are some of the I'd say skills that we're looking for in terms of the students and successful candidates, and what overall we could define career agility. So that includes resilience, and that means the ability to bounce back despite there might be setbacks. So you might be applying for a particular company, you might not be going through the recruitment process. So it's the ability to keep going really. So resilience is really one of the key attributes that we're looking for, and that's something that you also might be developing throughout your year. But also being adaptable, and that might be being flexible in terms of the different industry you might be looking for, or roles, or even locations. So we are even though we're based in London, we're very, very global business school, and our students come from everywhere, and they do end up working in a variety of different locations upon graduation as well. Really, one of the most important skills is the learning mentality. So you're thinking about reflecting upon, if you're successful in securing a graduate program or a summer internship, or actually even if you're not successful in achieving summer degree, what did you learn? So this is something that we might be asking in some of the coaching sessions, and it's always important to think about, okay, my plan might not be developing the way I wanted it to be, but what am I learning from this particular experience? So that's something to think about. So these are definitely the skills that we're looking for candidates. Also because if you think about it, effectively we're training you for jobs that might not be there. There might be different sectors that are emerging, different jobs that you might be going throughout your life. And also something to think about is really the skills and the experience that you develop in your business school experience are lifelong learning. So some of the skills that are going to be really facilitating and teaching at times, and really skills that are going to be with you throughout your career as well. So now you're just thinking about your master's, but effectively your master's is going to go quite quickly, and soon enough you're going to be alumni. So some of the skills and experience that we share with you are going to be with you after you become alumni as well. So now my colleague Kira will tell you a little bit more about how the Career Centre effectively partners with you.
Yeah, thank you, Enrico. So as Enrico said, I'm just going to take the next few slides to think about this partnership that we want to strike with you. So Enrico's talked a little bit about what you will bring to us and the sorts of qualities that we have very much from our experience identified as those that make students successful in achieving their career aims. So now I'm going to focus on how we will support you through this journey, through the ups and downs of the whole job search process during your time on the programmes. So as we can see from this slide, the Career Centre really is at the heart of connecting you, the students at LBS, with a wide range of employment opportunities. And as Enrico has said, we're really trying to broaden the range of opportunities that you will become familiar with. So they will cross different functions, different industries and sectors, as well as different geographies. So how do we provide this support to you? So first of all, we provide it through coaching, so through one-to-one and group coaching, as well as through the delivery of a career skills toolkit, which will help you to self-evaluate, to identify your strengths and any skills gaps, help you address any gaps that you may have identified with regards to your career areas of interest. We will then also continue to support you through the whole application and recruitment processes that you will embark on. And I'll go into a bit more detail about that just in a minute. But on the other hand, the work that the career coaches do is complemented by the work that our employer engagement team does in terms of proactively working with employers and gathering labour market intelligence, which is really helping us to identify opportunities for you and for the broad range of interests that you bring to the school. Through these relationships with employers, we're able to lead on campus recruitment activities where you have the opportunity to hear from and network with employers, but we're also able to support you with your own networking opportunities that allow you to access the ever increasingly important hidden job market. So let's just look at the career skills toolkit in a little bit more detail. So the toolkit, as you can see from this slide, is provided through a variety of mediums. And the idea is that each stage builds on each other. So we start with the online portal where you will be able to access a whole range of online materials, webinars, screencasts, all of which can be accessed 24/7 and which really allows you to complete the foundational due diligence, if you like, that's necessary to make these informed career decisions that you will then go on to. We then build on that foundation work through large interactive workshops and presentations. These will cover a variety of skills such as CVs, cover letters, interviews, assessment centres, And then we also give you an opportunity to work on these specific elements within smaller groups where you're able to benefit from the feedback of a facilitator, so one of the career coaches or someone from our employer engagement team, as well as benefit from feedback with your peers. And we find that these activities are very successful and really help to improve and build the confidence of our students. Obviously, all of this is then supplemented through one-to-one activities. So you can access and book one-to-ones with career coaches like myself and Enrico, as well as the other coaches that support all of the other programs at LBS. And in those sessions, they're very much driven by the student's need. So if you would like to have a CV or an application reviewed, or you would like to prepare for an interview, or you're still considering your options and you would like some coaching around that, we provide services to meet those needs. You're also able to book one-to-one sessions with sector specialists, so the leads from our employer engagement teams who are able to share the market intelligence that they have built up around their sector interests, able to share information about specific recruitment processes with employers you may be targeting. We also at LBS have the beauty of a fantastic peer leader program. So the peer leader program is delivered by second year MBAs, so MBA students that come with knowledge, experience and a background within certain sectors. They are trained to be able to coach and support students that have an interest in those sectors. So for example, you may be interested in investment banking or asset management or consulting, and you want to meet with someone who has potentially worked in the company that you would like to target or worked in that industry, and you are trying to understand a little bit more about the specific skills and qualities that makes for a successful analyst within any of those industries. Or it may be that you actually want to practice some case interviews, for example, for the consulting applications that you might be making. But ultimately, by engaging in each of these different levels through these different mediums, it means that these one-to-one activities that you book can be a lot more impactful and value add. So that was the career coaching side. So now taking a moment to look at the employer engagement side and the team that focuses on that. So as I said, the employer engagement team work proactively to build relationships with employers of choice, and they are responsible for organising a number of different campus activities. So these will take different shapes. They may be company presentations. We may get companies running skill sessions, running case studies that you can engage in, or there may be networking or coffee chat situations. They also advertise and push job opportunities to you through the LBS jobs board. Just to bear in mind that most of these will be targeting UK-based analyst, internship or full-time positions, so entry levels, but we do also obviously cover international opportunities. But that's just one side of the picture, if you like. And it's really important, as Enrico mentioned earlier on, that you recognise that there is a whole range of opportunities that we might not even know about yet. So to open yourselves up to these wider and arguably much richer employment opportunities that might better match your career aspirations, we will support you with your individual proactive networking opportunities. So, just a little bit with regards to the timing of our activities, because we do very much consider when to put on the activities at the points during the different programs, and it's very much recognising when the recruitment activity happens over the year of the program. So as you can see from this slide, September and October are very much focused on continuing the research, because I would like to say that hopefully if you are successful in getting an offer onto either one of the programs, I would encourage you to do as much research about your areas of interest before you start on the program as possible. You are able to continue this research and explore the opportunities within your areas of interest through the online resources that I've already mentioned, as well as attending sector presentations from our employer engagement team and engaging in the company presentations that we have on campus for you. During this time in October as well, we have a career management week. This is a great opportunity when outside of your core courses, you get to just focus on careers activity. And during this week, we put on a whole range of activities from cover letter sessions to interview preparation, as well as mock assessment centre scenarios, so that then you can be ready for the interviews and assessment centres that you will be invited to through November, December time. We also have a number of on-campus recruitment presentations that happen during this time. Then there's obviously the break over Christmas, and in January we reconnect with you. So I would say spring and summer is all about refreshing your skills, having refreshers around interviews and applications, and this is where we will then support you with the just-in-time hiring and also the sort of networking that you might do to achieve your individual career goals, depending on where you have identified those to be.
Great, thank you very much, Kira. I will now tell you a little bit more about the hiring timings and also tell you a little bit more about career outcomes, so where our students might end up working after they finish their studies. So just to get started with the hiring timing, so a question that we get asked all the time from prospective students and actually students as well: when can I expect to secure a role? And really the main message from this slide is the fact that students do secure roles at different times throughout the year. And usually by January we would expect around 15% of the cohort to have secured either a summer internship or a graduate program. And then we find that probably by April, when there is another break, it's probably around 30% of the class. And then by June, by the time you finish your studies, it comes around probably 60%. And as you can see from the employment reports or the stats that are published on the website, actually 3 months after graduation, which is when the official date, when we take the statistics in terms of students that are employed, is usually around 90% plus of students that secured employment. So that really means that it's a variety of different timings throughout the year when students are able to secure employment. And this is a reflection of the fact that our students might be securing roles in different countries. So whereas there is big emphasis on early recruitment deadlines for graduate programs and summer internships here in the UK, we find, for instance, with some of our students might be securing employment in Europe, is actually most of the recruitment happens after Christmas in the spring term and sometimes even in summer. And also another drivers in terms of the different timelines is the fact that there is very much more interest in terms of our students in a variety of different industries. So they might be exploring industries such as diversify or technology, in which some of the hiring might be just in time. So some of the companies might not necessarily be recruiting before Christmas or in January. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of the timelines. Now that I told you a little bit more about the hiring timings, I'll tell you a little bit more about the employment outcomes. So as you can see, this is a summary of where our MiM 2016 ended up. And as you can see, consulting is still one of the most important sectors, with around 40% of our students securing employment in this sector. And even within consulting, strategy consulting is still the most popular stream. However, we do see more and more students diversifying within a variety of different consulting firms, and this is why, for instance, every year in April we run a session, a recruitment fair with boutique consulting companies, so that you're able to explore consulting in a variety of different settings. Finance is very popular amongst our MiM students. It's the second most popular sector, where around 1/3 of the class ended up in finance. And as you can see from the stats, really when we say finance, the majority of our students mean investment banking. Whereas some of the other areas of finance, such as asset management or private equity and venture capital, attract a much smaller number of students. Outside of consulting and finance, we see that technology is really increasing year on year. So more and more of our students secure jobs in internet, commerce company, also information technology and services organizations. And finally, diversified is basically anything else. So it does include companies in the media, energy, industrials, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, and again, it is a small but growing number of students that are interested in these areas as well. For the MFAs, the employment report is going to get published early in the new year. However, not surprisingly, the great majority of students secured employment in investment banking, with some of the students securing roles in private equity, in finance, in corporate sectors, asset management as well, and probably quite a small number, I would say 1 out of 10 in consulting as well. And in terms of locations, at the moment for the MFA is London for around probably half of the class, and half of the class secured employment overseas, including the majority in Hong Kong, and Switzerland seem to be another hub in terms of where students find employment as well. But just to tell a little bit more about the locations for the MiMs, as you can see, similar to the to the statistics for the MFAs we have so far, around less than half of the class secured employment here in the UK, and 1/3 of the class in Europe. That is excluding the UK. And as you can see, Asia is quite a popular career destination in terms of our students, with 16%, and not that many of our students securing jobs either in the Americas or in the Middle East. And what you can see at the bottom of the slide is also some of the cities in which our students secured employment. As you can see, it is quite fragmented, so we do have students ended up in a variety of different locations. Now I'll tell you a little bit more about the type of companies where our students secured employment. As you can see, if you have a look at the slides, you'll see that some names you definitely recognize. Some are aspiration employers that most of our students are interested in. However, interestingly, you might find some companies they don't know yet. So one of the actions after today's sessions might be for you to start researching some of these companies, because potentially they could be interesting employers for you in the future. So one of the main messages from these slides is the fact that actually the market is quite fragmented. So our students do end up in a variety of different companies. So even within the same industry, there might be some large players, some names that you already know, you would expect, but actually some of our students do secure roles, let's say in boutique consulting, in boutique investment banks, and in some of the up-and-coming tech and diversified companies as well. So this is just something to keep in mind. And as mentioned before by my colleague Kira, one of the aim of the Career Centre is also for you to be exposed to a variety of different employers and industries that you might not have considered or thought about before. Now my colleague Kira will tell you a little bit more about entrepreneurship, because really another area that is growing in terms of interest is students who want to either start their own company or join other companies that just got started.
Yeah, so thank you. As Enrico has said, so entrepreneurship is a growing area of interest for our students, I would say particularly on the MiM as well. And some of you who are tuned in today may be thinking, I don't actually want to apply to a company, but I'm looking to start my own business. And I'm pleased to say that we have a great program of activity that supports those with entrepreneurial ambition. And there are kind of 4 different communities, if you like, that support budding entrepreneurs, and they support them in very specific but interrelated ways. As you can see here, there's the Career Centre. We have student-led activities through some of the clubs, getting involved in hackathons through our Launchpad event. There's obviously the electives and the courses that faculty provide, as well as the Institute of Innovation and Entrepreneurship. And also we tap into externally led activities here in London. All of these activities are really focused on helping you develop your business idea, connecting you with like-minded entrepreneurs, and providing sort of mentorship opportunities and a series of success stories from which you can learn and benefit from. We also have an incubator that the Career Centre supports, and at the moment in this year's incubator we have 3 actual MIMs and different founders from the MiM programme. So the incubator is a year-long programme, and every year they admit a number of new business founders, and as I said, this year we've got 3 out of 11 companies companies that come from the MiM, which is fantastic. You apply, you can apply in your year of the programme, but you have to be an alumnus in order to apply, and you can apply up to approximately 3 years out of the programme. So it may be that you haven't quite landed on that idea yet, but you do perhaps 1, 2, 3 years out of the programme. If you get into the incubator, you are provided with physical space, common services, there's a whole programme of events, as well as coaching, and you have access to our mentors in residence. So we have a really great portfolio of mentors that come with different sector expertise that you are able to tap into and learn from. And again, they can support you at whatever stage of the entrepreneurial journey that you are at. So I'm now going to hand you over to Alex, who's going to talk a little bit about the application process before we start answering or opening up to answer any questions that you may have. So you might want to think about the questions you want to ask of us.
Fabulous, thank you, Kira. So yes, for those of you, I'm sure tuning in, you've either been a part of this webinar series throughout the fall term, or perhaps you're just doing some research now into LBS. So I want to take a minute and explain all 3 different early career programs so that you have a better idea of what you would be applying for within LBS. So we have our Masters in Management program. This is a 1-year full-time program here in London with an optional 4th term, so that could bring it up to 16 months. This is a general management degree, so this would really be for students who want to have a broader curriculum that allows them to go into different industries career-wise afterwards, as you've heard today. Our Global Masters in Management program is a 2-year program. The first year is the MiM here in London, and the second year you're getting another master's degree in international business from Fudan University in Shanghai. With the degree in Shanghai, you are required to write a thesis, which is slightly different from the Masters in Management, but it's a wonderful program, and it really broadens your network, especially if you're looking to find jobs or placement within Asia. The Masters in Financial Analysis, this is obviously directed towards students wishing to enter the finance sector, so we do encourage you, if this is the area of interest for you, it is important to have a finance-related degree. So for those of you who've listened today, of course, obviously private equity, investment banking, and so forth, we would encourage you to apply for this program. Please keep in mind, though, you do need to come from an undergraduate degree that is numeric. So you would not be able to apply for the Masters in Financial Analysis, for instance, if you had a degree in a social science. So just to keep those in mind, we have all information about these degrees on our website. The next intake for all 3 programs is September 2018. Applications have already been opened online, and I'll go over now a little bit about the application requirements. So you do need to have a 2-1 equivalent. Degree-wise, US standards, that would be a 3.5 GPA or higher. We are happy to convert your GPA for you depending on which country you are currently from. With your application, you will also need to take the GMAT exam or GRE. For the GMAT this year, we do accept a minimum of 600 for the MiM program and 650 for the MFA. The average we saw on our current class, though, was 681 for the Masters in Management students and 710 for the Masters in Financial Analysis. For those of you who might have taken the CFA on Saturday, I hope it went well. But if you do pass CFA Level 1, you do not have to take either GMAT or GRE, and that is for the Masters in Financial Analysis program. As you can see, you would also need to complete the essays online, prove your English ability, submit all of your university transcripts, and references from 2 referees. We do recommend you have 1 professional and 1 academic. This is to show that you're capable, obviously, in your studies as well as in the workplace. I want to highly recommend submitting your CV if you've not done so already. You can submit your CV to me and my team. We are happy to review it for you. We'll tell you kind of where you stand, what you might need to improve on, what GMAT score would be desirable for your particular profile. So feel free to upload your CV after this to our website. If you go to the Masters in Management or Masters in Financial Analysis pages, you'll see a button on the right that says Submit CV. feel free to do that and we'll get back to you within 7 working days. So that's a little bit about the programs and application requirements, but please now feel free to ask any questions you have about careers or admissions, and we're here to answer those.
Great, so just to get started, we've already got a couple of questions, so thanks very much for asking the questions. I really do take this chance to have us answer your questions. So the first question is around the fact that these programs are one-year programs and whether students are eligible for summer internships. And the second question was around what was the chance of getting return offers. So really good question, and it allows us to elaborate a little bit more on this. So you're definitely eligible to apply for summer internships because both programs do have the option of 4-term. So that means that for those companies that have got a very strict penultimate year policy, which is usually is in investment banking, you can become a penultimate year student. So you're definitely eligible. So when you've got that question in the application form, are you a penultimate year student? Yes, because you do have the option to graduate the following year rather than in the summer of 2019. So you're definitely eligible. Now, the second question, what was the chance of getting a return offer, is a good question. And from experience, it's really hard to put a number because it does depend on a variety of different factors, including your own performance in the summer internship and also what might need to be the headcounts or business needs at that particular time. So that might definitely change. I would say that for the MFA, we at the moment, because we haven't finalised the stats yet, I would say it was probably around 50%, so around half of the students who secured a summer internship got a return offer straight away for a graduate program, and the start date for the graduate program might be different. So some students got converted straight away, some students got converted for January start, some for February start, and some even for the following summer. So it's quite different. So I would say from our limited experience of last year, the return rate was around 50%, which is actually quite good if you think about it. And those who didn't secure the offer was for a variety of different reasons, including the fact that the summer internship might have been a good chance for the students to find out that investment banking was not actually for them. So we did see quite a few students that said, it was a great experience. However, now I would like to explore different avenues. And the great thing is that you still have got access to the career centre after your summer internship, so you're more than welcome to come and see a career coach to discuss different options as well. The second question related to this was around Chinese students of the class 2017, and the comment was that most of them got summer internships. So yes, they did, and in investment banking, more and more, really summer internship are the talent pipeline. So most students secured a permanent position on completion or successful summer internship. So no surprises there. And in our experience, that seemed to be the case, especially in Asia. So with a lot of our students returning to Asia for work, they did secure summer internship, that's right. And I was saying before, actually summer internship is a good way for the employers to try and see how you're doing and whether it's a good fit for you or not, but also it's a good chance for you as a student to see whether that particular industry is for you or not, or even that particular organisation. So I would say actually our Chinese students from last year did quite well, with the great majority of them securing positions in Hong Kong. However, there were some that secured positions here in London as well.
Okay. Thank you. So another question that has come through, which I think is a really really good question to ask. So I'll start by answering it, and I'm sure Enrico will probably have something to add as well. So the question that came through was, considering the sector choices of MiM graduates, do you think someone who wishes to work in investment banking but prefers studying, should study, I think I'm going to interpret this, should opt for the MiM rather than the MFA? Or which one should they offer for? What are the unique benefits between the two? So I think if I speak from a MiM perspective, we have always had MiM graduates that have gone into investment banking and a variety of finance-focused roles. And just because you are doing the MiM does not preclude you from making those applications. What I would argue, however, is that those that are successful are generally ones that have some experience within banking already before embarking on the MiM. Because let's also remember that a lot of the programs that you will be applying to, whether they're internships or full-time opportunities, you do not have to have done the Masters in order to apply to these programs. So really the reason and the choice you make over the MiM versus the MFA, I would say, if you've got experience in banking, you still maintain that interest in banking, then it's about what do you want to learn in the 1 year of your program, because you can apply to banking from both of those perspectives. If you want a broader curriculum and you want a much broader academic program, then the MiM is going to obviously suit you. You still have opportunity to go to the same similar employer presentations and the same networking opportunities as you do the MFA. So I would encourage you to go and look at the curriculums, look at what's being offered and the elective choices, and think about which one appeals to you most, given that probably having done this Masters, you're not going to go back to school and do another Masters. Enrico, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Great, completely agree with what you were saying, Kira. I think also, you know, two things to bear in mind. One is really to reflect upon, it's fine to have some ideas in terms of your career outcomes. However, I would really encourage you to think about what you're going to be studying as well. Because if you look at the actual content of the MiM program and the MFA program, it's actually very different. So there's something to think about. What are you going to be studying? Because in terms of outcome, as Kira was saying, there's definitely, every year we do have quite a few MiM students who are very successful in securing employment in investment banking. However, the MFA is obviously a specialised master in finance. So, you know, I would also wonder, you know, what are you actually interested in studying? Because in terms of career outcomes, you know, as Kira was saying before, career provision is going to be very similar. So you're going to be meeting same employers, same skill sessions. So I would really encourage you to think about the actual content of what you're going to be studying as well. Also, because something to bear in mind, as Kira was saying before, is that if you're going to be looking for employment here in the UK, really the labour market is vocational. So that means you don't necessarily need to study finance to end up in finance. So that's something to bear in mind. I think there are a couple of other questions. One is, how likely is it that I will get an offer outside my country of residence after graduation? And another question, is it possible to pursue an internship during the MiM program? So to answer the first one, I would say that you know, we don't have a crystal ball, so it's quite, you know, it's quite hard for us to necessarily tell you how it's going to pan out for you. However, if you look at the stats, you will see that around 45% of MiM students, MiM's graduate work in the UK, and if you have a look at where students come from, we definitely do not have 45% of the class coming originally from the UK. So as you can see, there are quite a few students who are not originally from the UK who secured employment in this country. Also, something that I was saying before is that we're a very global business school. So either when you're a student or when you become an alumna, we do have colleagues that look after different regions and different markets as well. So for instance, once you become an alumni, the Alumni Career Centre do have coaches in New York, in London, in Dubai and in Hong Kong. So they're really local market specialists that are able to advise you. Also, don't forget that we do have alumni in all of these locations and a lot of other locations you might be interested in. So really, we will provide you with their support. Also, something to bear in mind in terms of the Career Centre is that we've got lots of different resources, such as Going Global, and quite a few of us are not originally from the UK, so we can definitely help you in terms of giving you market intelligence from other countries, or even doing mock interviews in different languages as well. Now, in terms of pursuing an internship during the program, I will just give a brief answer, and then Kira can add anything she wants to. Some students do manage to work part-time during their studies. Now, there are two very important elements to bear in mind. One might be some visa restrictions. So, you know, if you're on a visa, usually you're not allowed to work for more than 20 hours per week during term time. And really another big element to think about is your academic commitment, because you are a full-time student, so really your academic commitment should be priority. And for instance, with the MFAs of last year, nobody was working during the autumn term because it was really intense between the academics and the recruitment season. Some students did manage to find some part-time work experience throughout the spring and summer term, especially in summer when you're completing electives. Some students were definitely doing some part-time work, sometimes in startups, sometimes in fintech companies, sometimes in smaller boutiques, for instance, in asset management or private equity. However, I would say that really the main outcome for you should be to be able to graduate successfully, because there's no point you're securing a great role and then you're not going to be able to graduate because you don't pass your exams.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Thank you. It is a full 1-year program, and it is demanding. And it's also paying attention to the fact that a lot of your work will be delivered as a group. So it's not even that you're just relying on yourself and your own input at the times that suit you, but you're fitting in with those within your study group as well. So whilst it might be possible to do some part-time work or an internship perhaps during Easter, for example, in the latter stages of the MiM, I would argue absolutely not during autumn term, just because it is so heavy. A couple of other questions that have come through. So how often do you welcome candidates that want to manage family businesses after the programme ends? We absolutely, and I'm sorry that I didn't speak to them today, have a lot of students, especially on the MiM, that are either returning to the family business or are going to start their careers within the family business after the programme. There is a student association that focuses just on those from family businesses, so you get to network with like-minded people across all of the programmes. So our student associations are open to everyone, so people from the MBA, from our leadership programmes, as well as the MFA and MiM programmes. So that's a great opportunity to network and learn from others, and attend speaker series that speak to the specific challenges, let's say, that face you when working within the family business. We also encourage you during your time to come to our skill sessions, because you never know at what point you may benefit from those. I remember doing a mock interview session with someone who wasn't applying to jobs and wasn't going to be going for any interviews, but what we managed to do was turn it into a learning experience for him, because at some stage within the family business he was going to be recruiting. So we were talking about the sorts of questions you want to ask as you recruit for your family business. So yes, please do show an interest to us, even if you're returning to the family business.
So I had a question, and we do get this question quite a lot. It's what makes the MFA different from other universities like LSE and Imperial? Well, we don't like to compare ourselves directly to any other school, because at the end of the day, it's also about how you would fit into a school, and if that school is a good fit for you. We do like to highlight what we feel makes our program really great. So for the Master's in Financial Analysis, I think the curriculum is an important aspect. You want to make sure, and you can check through this on our website as well, that some of the electives we offer in courses is what you're looking for within your master's degree. But it's also about the other elements LBS has to offer. It's a graduate-only school, so the students on campus, you're all here to basically enhance and start your careers, and it's a very sophisticated environment. It's also the network that you're tapping into. Our alumni network is global, and lots of students find this very beneficial, and that's why they choose LBS, because they realize the importance of this network that we've created globally. It's also a lot of what you heard today, the Career Center, and feel free, Enrico, here to jump in at any point on this, but I think our Career Center really does help the students and guide them through the process while supporting them. And these are just a few elements that I can highlight for the MFA program in itself. But at the end of the day, yes, you should choose a program that suits all the elements that you're looking for. And you should definitely, if you can, come visit the campus or speak with us on an individual basis, because we can tell you more about the community and expectations. And then hopefully you might find it's a good fit and you will apply.
Great. So a couple more questions. One is around visas. So statement is getting visa in the UK is difficult. So finance companies hesitant to hire MiMs or MFA graduates from Asia. And I would say that As I was saying before, if you're looking at large financial organizations, they definitely are able to sponsor visas. Now, whether they're able to actually then do it for the individual candidate, it really depends on a variety of different factors. Also, if you are following the news, you can see that this is really topical, hot topic at the moment, and immigration legislation is changing on a very regular basis. I would say, from our experience, that we definitely do have students that secured employment here in the UK and got sponsored by employers. However, I would say that usually the students that put quite a bit of effort into the recruitment process and really able to clearly articulate what might be some of the unique selling points. So why should the employer hire them with respect to some of the other students who might be available? I'm not sure if Kira wanted to add anything else in terms of this particular question.
No.
Great. And then the other question was around the investment banking industry, so whether somebody should be completing a MiM or an MFA. And this particular perspective, students is saying they come from a business management and want to complete a career they want to pursue a career in investment banking, so they're considering the MFA. So I think the answer is really similar to what we were saying before, is that really, the MiM and the MFA both potentially give you a chance to join the investment banking industry. However, it's for you to think about the studies that you're going to be doing. They're going to be completely different. And also, in a way, if you already study business management in undergraduate, I think if you were to complete the MiM, as a recruiter, I would definitely ask you the question, why are you doing a master in pretty much a similar area? Whereas if you're going to be completing a master in financial analysis, I think the narrative might work a little bit better, because in a way, you did business management generalist degree. However, you really develop an interest in finance. This is why you decided to do a master in financial analysis, and then you want to pursue a career in investment banking. So that's something to think about. But as I was saying before, in terms of career provision, they're going to be exactly the same. So you've got the same staff, the same career coaches, the same trainings to employers. So I would really, if I were you, I would also be thinking about the actual content of the studies that you're going to be doing for the following year.
Great, thank you. So we've got another really good question here regarding experience and which has greater value on a CV. So the question was, what would be a more valuable asset on your CV? Experience as a chairman of a student association, or experience as an entrepreneur? Okay, so really great question. What I would argue is it doesn't necessarily matter where the experience comes from, but what is a valuable asset on a CV is an experience that shows the impact that you had. So as an entrepreneur who's founded their own business, potentially crowdfunded themselves or got financial support somehow to grow their business, who's had involvement in product development, negotiating contracts, negotiating suppliers, working with customers. These are all great transferable skill sets that you can package to future employers. However, you can show as much entrepreneurial talent, if you like, and entrepreneurial skill sets by being a chairman of a student association. So I would argue that if you've established that student association because you spotted a gap in that market, at the school that you were at, and you managed to recruit a committee and put together your strategic plans, your manifesto, and recruited students to get involved in the associations, secured sponsorship, as well as guest speakers, etc., you're still showing the same skill set, okay? So in terms of the CV, what's important is what are the transferable skills that you are showing with the experiences that you have. And this is important because you won't necessarily have worked in the companies or within the functions that you are applying. So it's about transferable skill sets, but also which has the most impact. And impact on a CV is all about results and content evidence. What this also enables me to do, this question, is highlight the webinars that we will be releasing over the spring and summer terms. And one of those will be focused on how to write a winning CV. And the reason we're going to be doing a webinar for our admitted students is because we know that a lot of you want to get working on your CV, working on the narrative that you want to start getting across to future employers, so that when you come and join in September, you're feeling ahead of the game. So do watch out for further information on our spring, summer webinar series, and one of those will be focused on CVs.
Great, thank you very much, Kira. So the next question is around clubs. So are there any clubs or organisations targeted at insurance or pensions? So I literally just checked now, because we have over 80 clubs here on campus, and we always have new ones. So I just wanted to check. And I couldn't find anything targeting particular insurance or pension. However, I would say that both are very interesting industries to explore, and there is, I would say there might be, just because of our student numbers, there might be enough appetite for, you as a prospective student, if then you join us as a student, to start even a new club, or even it might be really some collaboration with some of the existing clubs, such as the finance club, and maybe even organising an event or a networking event, in particular around insurance and pension. And there doesn't tend to be that much interest in terms of our students in these particular areas. However, they're very, very interesting areas of work. So, there's definitely scope to be reaching out to alumni. We definitely have alumni working in these areas, and definitely there is interest for some of the companies working in this industry in terms of recruiting talent.
Fabulous. So I think that is about it for all of our questions. If you do have any other last-minute questions, now would be the time. But we do want to thank you all for joining us today. Hopefully this was helpful for you as you're doing your research on graduate programs. And let us know if you have any further questions. You see the emails listed above. You can contact us at any time. And please do upload your CV if you'd like to be evaluated for